All right, welcome everybody. We should be live. Let us know if there's any issues with the video or audio quality as per normal. Thanks for joining in. We got a few folks here already. I'm right on time. What kind of muso is right on time? That's not usually the way. But anyway, welcome everybody. Thanks again for joining in. I appreciate it. I'm just going to give a few shout outs here. We'll take some questions. This will probably go for about an hour or anything like something like that. So if you have any questions, let us know. And that's my notification that I'm live. So I'll just move this over here. All right, looks like we're working. Everything looks good. Thanks, Eddie. I appreciate that, mate. So we've got Eddie's here. Welcome, mate. Thanks for joining in. He's one of the channel members. Appreciate it. And Shane says he'll be working his butt off, so he won't be here when it goes live. That's all right. I'll timestamp this after the fact as well, so if anyone wants to watch it later, they can. Leave a thumbs up too if you can, folks. It really helps the channel and videos get found and all that kind of stuff, so thank you. That's if you like the video. Jeff, how you doing, mate? He says, how good do you think the Fender Frontman 212R, I think 100 watt amps are? They're okay. Like, they're more simple than a lot of like digital modeling amplifiers like the Mustang series or even to some extent the Katana amps, but they probably don't sound as good as the Katana amps. The good thing about them though, they've got that solid state clean channel. So if you want that, you've got it, and the Fender clean is pretty good. The benefit of solid state amps is they don't really break up when you turn them up. So if you want that really loud clean sound, you can get it. They just tend to sound a little thinner, in my opinion and experience using them, than some other alternatives like the valve or tube amplifiers, and never going to really replicate that. But I think they're loud enough to jam with. Reliability is mixed with those as well. I've tried some that didn't work out of the box and others were fine, so that could just be my personal experience with them, but they're okay. They're light as well, which is another good thing. Considering they're a loud 100 watt amp, you can actually move them around, get them in your car pretty easy. So they're okay. I don't necessarily think I would buy one for what I would be doing. If I was to buy one of those sort of like Frontman sort of series amps, I'd probably get the XL, the single 12 one, the 50. I really enjoyed my time with that, and it looks cool. But yeah, they're okay. They're all right. It depends on your budget. It depends on what you're looking for. If you just want something to plug in to at any volume, they're going to sound good even at home, because solid state amps you can essentially just keep the volume down and still get a nice sound, unlike valve amps that sound better turned up. So they're pretty solid amplifiers. I've tested them out in the past. If I can, I'll link down to a few of the videos I've done after the fact here. But yeah, all right, welcome everybody. All right, let's just take some Keith says looking good. Thanks, mate. I appreciate that. Thanks for joining in. All right, I'm just going to move my screen. Here we go. So my comments are here. Camera's there. As always, I'm not avoiding everybody. All right, we've got Daniel. How you doing, mate? Thanks for joining in. Awesome stuff. We've got Casey as well. Have I tried JJ's pickups? I don't think I have. I've only ever tried their valves or their replacement tubes, and that's it. I didn't know they made pickups, so no. I'll have to look into that though at some point, because yeah, I didn't know they actually did any of that stuff. Now, I tried to set this up so I could share a screen. Let's see if this works. This will be an interesting test to see whether or not this actually works. So let's try this. If it doesn't work, hopefully you can still hear me. Let us know if the audio... Oh, I guess if you can't hear me, it's not going to work, but... JJ's pickups, made in Australia. Oh, okay. No, different brand altogether then. I thought it might have been the same company that made the replacement tubes, the vacuum tubes, but obviously not. So I'll have to look into this. All right. I've been waiting months to be able to do this little like shared desktop thing, so I can finally share stuff with you with a little bit more, make it a little bit more interactive and fun. All right, we got Ken from Montana. Welcome, mate. Thanks again for joining in. Hey, we got Jim here as well. Awesome stuff. We got Narbone Guitars. Welcome, mate. Hope you're doing well. All the way from Massachusetts. All right, heaps of folks here already. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. Mitch as well. Top 5 blues combo tube amps you advise to get. Oh, man. So it really depends on a number of different factors, right? Like what I like might not be what everyone else likes, and people will have different options and alternatives. But I would say the Marshall DSL 40 CR is unbelievable. With or without pedals, that's why I've kept it. I do have a Texas heat speaker in mine, and I love that amp. You can use it with pedals on the clean channel, or you can just plug in and get great tones on the crunch, or even the ultra gain channel if you want to go crazy and do a Carlos Santana cover or something. But the crunch channel on that is all day blues. It's so good. It's one of the... I still think it's underrated. As great as an amplifier as the DSL 40 CR is, still underrated. You can switch it down to 20 watts, so you don't have to run it at full volume. It's killer. The Blues Deluxe, which is why I've kept it, is a great pedal platform. It's loud enough for any venue. I actually just put together my 10-year anniversary review of this particular one, even though I've had two, and I've had I got the first one 14 years ago. So yeah, it's just a great amp. I would say if you're going to be getting into playing like more traditional blues, a Princeton's a kind of hard amp to beat in many ways, or a Deluxe Reverb. They're both really good. With, you know, you can use them without pedals, but I still consider them a pedal amplifier just because you kind of have to really dime them to get them to break up. The Artist TweedTone 20, still one of my favorite amps. It's basically like a Marshall on the drive channel and a Fender Blues Junior on the clean channel, but with more volume and grunt and more versatility. So that would be my number 4. And if I had to pick a 5th one, well, I kind of put a Deluxe Reverb and a Princeton in there, but man, what's another great one? Oh man, yeah. I don't know. I'm sort of... There's like 5 other amps I would love to put in this list, but I can't decide. So we'll go with 4. Anyway, I hope that helps, mate. And if you're, if you're shopping on the used market, check out an amplifier by Yorkville. It's called a Trainer YCV50 or YCV40. Actually, it's a fantastic sounding amp, both clean and dirty. They're really, really good. So yeah, you'd be sort of hard pressed to find. It's a bit like a Marshall in a way. You get that great drive channel and a pretty solid clean channel, kind of like a Fender Hot Rod Deluxe kind of thing. So yeah, that'd be my suggestions just off the top of my head, but really depends on your output volume and all that. I love it. So the other thing is, right, you could go big. You could go like a Fender Super Reverb, one of my favorite amps of all time, as is the Peavey Classic 50, but they're probably not for everybody. They're just too heavy. All right. Jim, welcome, mate. If I didn't say hi before, I think I did, but hey, we got String Grip here. Welcome, mate. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, I heard about the John Mayall thing. I just saw Eric Clapton's post on the YouTube, or was it Instagram that I saw it on? It might have been YouTube, actually. Eric's put a video up talking about that. So, yeah, he died at 90. I don't know exactly what happened. I think it was they just said complications, so he must have had some sort of pre-existing medical condition. But John Mayall's one of the guys that popularized blues back in America. He's an English guy like Clapton and all the other dudes that were playing at that time. They took the blues back to the US and made it more popular than it currently was at that particular time. B.B. King and Buddy Guy have all credited Clapton and that era of musicians for bringing blues back, which is crazy how that works, right? It's like Hendrix wasn't popular until he went to England and came back. It's like, how does that work? Anyway, it's one of those kind of strange situations. But yeah, Mayall's a big part of that, obviously. They did a lot of classic albums. I play a lot of those licks still from today. And if you don't know John Mayall, he's a singer, he's a harmonica player, he's a keyboard player. I also found out something pretty interesting in reading an article that a friend of mine sent me. He said that he spent a year just playing with his left hand on piano, and then a year just playing with his right hand, so he wouldn't get confused or fumble around. I thought, wow, that's great. You got your rhythm hand, you got your lead hand going on. It was a pretty cool article. So if I can find that as well, I'll link it down after this particular live stream ends. But yeah, sad news for music. I actually got to see him play many years ago at a festival. So yeah, that was in Australia. I'm pretty sure it's a while ago. I'm tipping maybe 2000. 7, if I had to guess. 8, maybe. 7, 6, I don't know. Somewhere around there. Breck Kingman is a big advocate of JJ pickups. Very cool. Yeah, I haven't tried them. There's so many pickup manufacturers out there. They're all pretty good these days. It comes down to sort of like the budget and all that. And I mean, Brett's the kind of player that makes everything sound good. Give him a piece of fence wire and a and a fridge magnet, he'll make it sound good. All right, GW Taylor said it's 1:30 a.m. in Scotland. Was heading to bed. Looks like I'll be having a late breakfast. Very cool, mate. Thanks for joining in. I appreciate it. Trying a normal US time. Yeah, it should be in a pretty good time zone in the US all through it at the moment, with the exception of maybe like Hawaii or something. So this should hopefully reach a few people today. We'll see how we go. Happy Wednesday night to those in the US. Yep, welcome everybody. All right, here we go. We've got heaps of folks here. Music Therapy, welcome mate. Hope you're doing well. Mark's gas station. Cool. How about the Peavey Delta Blues 15? Yeah, I actually really like that amplifier. I don't like it as much as the Classic 50, but I actually really like those amps. The problem I had with them over the time I was using them was they became less reliable. So if you can find an old one that works properly, get it. I always had issues with the reverb tanks on the new ones. If you turn them up, even at like, they're not what you call it. They're not really like a really prominent reverb sound. So you got to turn them up a bit. But then if you crank the volume, the amp starts to oscillate. You get this feedback loop that you can't sort of get rid of. So you're forced to use less reverb, and that became a bit of a bummer. It's kind of like at 12 o'clock, it's like having a Fender amp on like 2.5 or 3. So, you know, it's very different, 3 on the dial. So 9 o'clock versus 12 o'clock. And yeah, the reverbs on those are a bit hit and miss. They probably have got that fixed now. This was years ago, but I kind of like let those go. If I do find an old one in good condition, I may pull a trigger at some point. I actually really like those amps. As an actual blues combo, I think they're fantastic. They are really good. You got a good clean and a pretty solid drive channel. Pickan Track says, I have the Joyo American Sound amp sim, and I'm wondering if the Kalen and something instrument version, also called American Sound, is just as good, or do they all sound the same? Oh yeah, so there's a number of different clones of the American Sound pedal, which is a clone of a Tech 21 Blonde. So if you want the original one that gives you more options, the Tech 21 is the one to go for. I know Amoon and Joyo both make exactly the same pedal. Harley Benton make the same pedal, it's just rebranded. And I don't know this other one, but if it's the same, if it looks the same with a different branding, it'll be exactly the same pedal, just rebranded. It's like a thing they do over there. And if that's not the case, I'm not too sure, sorry. Dumble, Triple S, number 5. Yeah. Hey, Rummy, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I gig with the Mesa Cali Tweed. Oh, yeah, see, I totally forgot about that amp. He says he gigs with the Mesa Boogie Cali Tweed killer with pedals. Those amps are unreal, man. They're like a thick-sounding Princeton. Yeah, totally rocking. I love my time with those amps. I only had them for a few days, but yeah, the California Tweed amps, they've always stuck in my head as one of the nicest sounding combos. They've probably got a bit more clean headroom too than a Princeton. Princeton's, you can get them up to about 5, and they really start to sort of break up and go over the edge. You can probably get that with the power attenuation on the Boogie, but I find them to just have a bit more of a thicker clean sound up loud, at least in my testing. Those amps are fantastic. Great pedal platform, absolutely. And thanks for the super chat, mate. I appreciate it. Yeah, so the Blues Junior thing, I've had a few Blues Juniors. I think they're good amps, but I don't love them. They're too small sounding for me. They're great if you don't want to be too loud, but they're not an amp I would buy for myself anymore. I think the Tweed one's probably the only one I would consider right now if I was to get another one. The Blues Juniors are not loud enough for what I do, but I love their portability, and they're a great pedal platform. You know, it all comes down to where you're playing. If I was doing a cafe gig, or if I wanted to keep the volume down, the Blues Juniors are really great. But they're not as good as a lot of other amps I've used that fall in that sort of 20-watt range. losing many greats. Yeah, that was in relation to the chat earlier. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it happens all the time, man. It's crazy. All right, Lincoln, welcome, mate. How you doing? Thanks for joining in. Have I ever played a PRS SE Silver Sky? No, and I'll tell you why. Up until, well, I've got to wait 4 more months and then they'll finally make a Lefty. I've seen them and I've been able to pick them up and they look like nice guitars, but sadly there's been no Lefties in the range at all. The only one that they make in a Lefty, other than the 277 baritone, I think that's what it's called, is the Custom 24, which I own. So not yet. I'm really looking forward to trying it out at some point. I know Sky Music, where I borrow all the music gear from, they'll be getting in all of the Lefty options they can, colors and all that. So I'll hopefully be I'll test them out as soon as I can. Hang in there. It'll be November most likely. All right, so 6:40 p.m. there. That's good. Tampa Blues 8:41. Tampa's a great town, man. I love that joint. Driving over those crazy bridges across the water. It's awesome. As I watch you play and do reviews, I always notice a big white pick in your hands. Oh, pick. Yeah. So I use these guys. The chicken picks. Is that going to do it? There it is. Chicken picks 2.6. I've had these for close to 10 years. And they're awesome. I started using these, not at my last house, which I was there for nearly 5 years, but the house before that, the apartment. And they're still going strong. I used one as a screwdriver once, and I chipped the edges off. But otherwise, the chicken picks are unreal. They're really good. They just don't wear out. And I found the thicker pick to be like easier on my hand, just overall. Yeah, everyone likes different stuff. I used to use the Jim Dunlop 1mm nylons with the black ones with the sort of textured edges. And then I went to them and I found it just so much easier. All right, Carp Patheus says, deep in the heart of Texas. Very cool. Any chance we'll see Metal Shane this year? You know, I don't know yet. I need to be inspired for that, I think. I don't have that crazy black wig anymore either, unfortunately. It sort of exploded at some point. It just, stuff went everywhere and I just threw it out. But maybe. We'll see what's going on. Coming up too, if you haven't already noticed, I'm uploading more videos. The last is sort of like the pedal videos are finished now, so I'm gonna, other content coming up. There's a new reaction video coming up. I'm going to be doing a new podcast. I'm also going to film something this weekend that I haven't done on the channel before, so I hope you like that. It's going to be sort of vloggy to some extent, but not walking through a shop. It'll be something else, so music related. So I hope you like it. I've got another plan for something else a little bit later in the year that I want to put together. I'm just sort of going through the fine details on that right now as well. But yeah, you're going to see a good mix of stuff coming up just to keep it fun and interesting. And if I can do another Metal Shane, which was called Slosh, I think everyone was calling it, then I'll do that. Yeah, mine, the US made one, is more durable than some of the later ones. Yeah, I think in relation to the Peaveys, right? Yeah, my friend had an old US one. It was awesome. How'd you get the tone of the deluxe reverb when you did the demo, just plugging straight into it? So anytime I review amps, that's all I'm doing. I don't use any like Captor X things or anything. I don't use any IRs. I literally just mic it up. I think the first step in getting a good tone is dialing in the amp. And an amp like the Princeton that I reviewed recently, I think the 1960, was it the 64 made in the US custom shop Princeton? That thing just sounded unbelievable. Like, how it just sounds great. That's how it sounds. So put the mic in a good spot. I use good mics. I've also got good mic technique. There's a lot of guys that will ask me how I mic up my stuff because they have YouTube channels and they don't know what they're doing. It's like, got to get a good tone, good mic placement, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, I'm either using an AEA N22 ribbon microphone, a Shure SM57, E906 Sennheiser. I bought all the classics, those two. And I've got another one which I got sent out, which I use quite a bit as well. It's the Austrian Audio OD5, which is a cool little, it's an active dynamic microphone, but I think the best results come from a Shure SM57 and an E906 combined. If I'm doing a single mic, the ribbon mic is pretty hard to beat. It has just a beautiful sound. It really does. But yeah, that's I just plug straight in. That's it. Anytime I use pedals in anything, you see it, or I list an annotation on screen saying, hey, I'm using a delay pedal or something. But amp demos are more about just getting the sound from the amps. I don't really like doing that other stuff. Like, like doing any sort of tricks in post. That sucks. Have I ever built a guitar with a DIY kit? I have not. Actually, a few people have been asking me about that. I might have to try looking into that at some point. Yeah, I want to do something that I would actually use. I don't just want to build something for the sake of it, so it might take a little bit of planning. I've actually got a fully loaded pickguard here that I would love to put into something. So that might be a good opportunity to kind of put something together. So we'll see how we go. This chair's squeaking today. I don't know if you can hear it or not. All right, sorry about that. Have I ever used a Fender Rumble bass amp for guitar? Did it a few times with the 200. Oh, with the 200 at the uni. It sounds massive. I haven't done that, actually, no. I used to daisy chain, I think it was a 410's Behringer Ultra Bass cabinet with my Peavey Bandit at one point in time, and that was wild. I've done that, but I haven't used a Fender Rumble bass amp for electric guitar. I've used those amps before for bass, but not for guitar. They're great little amps, man. They're super cool, light and loud. They got a good tone about them as well. It'd be an interesting video. So anyway, thanks for the suggestion there. Might be fun to try that one out. Is it worth chucking 500 at one of those artist tallies? It could do with the second one. I saw your video on it. Hope all is well. I tell you what, mate. Thanks, Simon. Hope you're doing well. Those guitars, especially the Skylar one, my friend bought one and he wants to get another one. And he's used it live. If you follow my Instagram, I've posted videos of him playing on my stories or whatever it's called, the ones that sort of disappear. And he loves that thing. The Skylar's like right up there. The AT53 is really impressive. It's light. I think it's got stainless steel frets as well from memory. And like it's custom shop weight. It really is. Some people think the pickups sound a little thin, but it's all sort of how you dial it in. I would have no problems getting one of those in a Lefty. I think they're really good. But yeah, I think for the price, you're pretty hard pressed to find anything better. I mean, you might get a Squier sort of Affinity Series Telecaster for that price, which I don't think is a better guitar. I think the artist guitars are probably the better long-term guitar based on the frets and probably nicer pickups as well. But yeah, anyway, they're really quite solid. I think the good thing about artist guitars, you don't like it, you can send it back. Just keep the box and they'll refund you. So yeah, so you've sort of got a little bit of buyer's remorse coverage there if you don't like it or it doesn't play well or whatever. They'll help you out. They got good customer service. All right. I like the big fat grip on Gava picks. I haven't used those ones before. I found this one the other day in my drawer. This is a mate of mine, Wayne, gave me this years ago, and I almost instantly lost it. It's called a Big Stubby. And this has got a recessed section in there, and it's basically the same thickness as a chicken pick. And this is actually pretty good, but it's a little more slippery than the other one. This is the only other pick I would probably use now. I wish I had have found this earlier. I think after I moved, I misplaced it. But yeah, it's just a really great pick. These are right up there as well. But the old, really thin ones, I just tend to bend too quickly. I must hold them way too tight, something like that. But Gava picks, I don't know those ones. Thanks for the suggestion. All right, are the lace sensor hot gold, hotter than stock, made in Mexico Strat pickups? No. So they're pretty low output. The gold ones are basically vintage output pickups. I don't know the exact specs. I'm sure you can find the ohm output on them. They might be like 4 or 3.5 or something like that. Once you get into the next level of the lace sensors, like the purples and the other colors that they've got, that's where they start getting hotter. If you're looking for more like a Texas blues sound, you can find the pickups that give you hotter output. But the reason I went for those 50s ones, the output's essentially the same as the ones I had in there. They do sound a little bit different on the top end, but you can dial that back in just by turning up the treble control on your guitar. So yeah, the lace sensors are a lot of fun, and those gold ones are great. I don't think they're hotter than the Made in Mexico Strat pickups. No way. Or if they are, I'd be really shocked, because the Player Series sort of Strat pickups have a bit of output to them. All right. DW says, maybe I missed the notifications, but where are those cool Guitar Store jams? They're coming back. They're coming back. I just sent a text out about it the other night, so I got to just double check with Rick or Brian and see if they're free. But yeah, it's going to be good. It's a huge job. I don't think really anyone understands kind of like what goes into those videos. It's not only like a massive setup process. It's the biggest job I do on the channel. I mean, it's awesome. We get to record the band. We have some fun. We get to test out gear, but you know, I've got to do all the mixing on the audio. I've got to do all the editing on the video stuff. Occasionally, we'll use like a live switcher to cut out all the work that goes along with like editing the project. But then I've got to talk about the stuff, and I'm going to try a new way of shooting those videos when we're at the store next time. I actually just shot the owner a message yesterday about that. I said, can we do one in August? And he said, yep, let me know when. So I said, all right, I will. So I'm in the process of organizing that. Those projects are massive. They really are. And I like going in with kind of like a theme in mind. And I've got some good ideas. So yeah, hopefully next month. What do you think about Epiphone replacing the low-end Gibsons in terms of pricing, and the new LP Custom is 2.7K here in New Zealand? Yeah, wow. I don't know, man. I kind of like some of those entry-level Gibsons. I think the Epiphones are great guitars, but more options is better than less, is how I feel about a lot of this sort of stuff. Like, you're basically forcing people into an option. Like, keep the Tribute series, keep the Juniors and all that. Like, those are... It just makes more sense to me. If people want a Gibson, they can maybe differentiate the price a little bit to make it justified somehow. Either bring one down or bring one up or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't have anything against Epiphone guitars. I think the new ones are arguably some of the best they've made, you know, since the old days. But I also don't like the idea of sort of discontinuing affordable Gibsons. I think that's a stupid move. I don't know. Let us know what you guys think of that, but it doesn't sort of make a lot of sense to me. I mean, in Australia, Gibson's getting to into the point where they're getting just too expensive. Like, I'm not interested in them at all. Like, if I was going to buy a 335, I'd buy another Tokai, just because they're, you know, like $1,500 to $2,000 cheaper. Like, why wouldn't I do that? I don't know, man. It's crazy. All right, so Casey's got a good question here. Hey, Shane, guitar collection is getting too big. How do you decide on thinning the herd? Mine is totally out of control. So start with your doubles. If you've got any doubles, move on to the one you're playing the least, unless it's doing something that you can't live without. So if you've got 3 Telecasters and they're all loaded with the same type of pickups, it's an easy choice. If you've got one that you... Like, this is my sort of thought process. I've got 2 Teles. I've got one with noiseless pickups. I've got one with single coils. If they both had single coils, I would flip the one I'm playing the least. That would be an easy sort of decision there. And it also just comes down to what's been sitting in the cupboard and not getting used. You know, if you're in a situation where you're just keeping it for no good reason, that stuff goes. A lot of people have a 6-month rule. I kind of abide by that to some extent, but I go through weird sort of phases with stuff. You know, I got right into playing my Strat, and then I stopped, and I'm playing my Kiesel. And that's not to say I'm not going to go back to playing my PRS, because I've just started doing that recently as well. So, you know, pick things that make the most sense, or pick the ones that play the best. This is another thing too, like having a lot of guitars and only if 3 of them play really well, or they're easier to play than some of the other ones, hold on to the ones that are the easiest for your chops. And doing that will make the most sense as well. Like, I offloaded a whole bunch of guitars over the last sort of 12 months, and they were the ones that just I never really felt quite at home on, or I already had other alternatives to those guitars in the collection. So yeah, I would either look at a 6-month rule, or if you can't live with that, try a year. If you haven't played a guitar in a year, get rid of it. That's my suggestion there. Oh, what's the best amp I've played this year? So I've played 2 that well, one I couldn't live without. The Peavey Classic 50 410s. That thing is an absolute monster. I got to use it live the other week. I put a video up about it. It was unbelievable, and I used it in the studio here for a couple of another video recently. Is it already up or not? I can't remember. Yeah, it might have been the Tube Screamer shootout. I used the Peavey Classic, and no one saw that video, by the way. It's like the lowest traffic video I've ever made, but it's unbelievable. It's really good. The Boogie, the California Tweed Boogie amps are like phenomenal, and I'd also have to throw in the Princeton 64 Custom Shop amp. That was just unbelievable. Such a beautiful sounding amp. But the Classic 50s, like, it's in a whole other realm. It really is. For me, it's like a as good or better version of a Super Reverb. I love it. So I'm going to give it to that because I actually purchased it. The other ones are a little bit out of my budget. All right, do I still have an Eastman? I'm never letting go of my T438. I never owned an Eastman. I reviewed one at Jerry's Lefty Guitars, but it wasn't mine. So if you're looking at some of those old videos, I guess I've shot close to 40 videos in Sarasota at Jerry's old shop. So yeah, and that was one of those. I never owned that. I did have a Tokai ES335, which was a 145L, but I've never owned an Eastman. Eastman are awesome guitars. They're getting better and better every time. Am I still using the TweedTone 20? Absolutely. I used it last Sunday out live. It's great. It's, the backline at the Jam has been Boss Katana 50s, and the guy, Tony, that runs the Jam, was talking about getting some Blues Juniors, and I tried to talk him into getting some TweedTones because I just think they're better amps. Better drive channel, better clean channel, bigger cab, bigger sound. Like, yeah, I use mine a lot. It's awesome. Will you listen to Slash Blues CD? Sure. I didn't know there was one, so I'd be happy to do that. I'm a little out of the loop with that stuff. All right, Andy from Tassie, welcome, mate. He says, what gives better sound quality as bedroom practice amp, a Spark 40 or a small tube amp such as the Marshall DSL-1 or the Blackstar? I'm not a huge fan of like small Blackstar amps. That's just me personally, but everyone likes different stuff. The Spark 40 is small and compact, and it's pretty... actually, the 40 I haven't tried. Sorry, I haven't tried that particular one. I've tried the Spark Go, which is like a really small little practice amp. And they're actually quite good because if you don't want to be too loud ever, that's the choice. They're pretty solid little amps. The Marshalls are great little amps. They're better than people think they are at 1 watt. You can also, I think, power them down to like, is it like 0.1 watts or half a watt, something on the back. There's a little button, and that will give you a more sort of traditional amplifier as opposed to some of the other ones which give you all the digital stuff. The digital stuff works well in a home practice situation because you can get a good sound at any volume, but if you want something where you're not going to have a million different options, the Marshall will probably be the better choice. So I actually did a roundup of all my favorite sort of like desktop practice amplifiers, and if I can find that, I'll link it down below. But I think it was like the best 11 practice amps. Nuix make some of the best practice amps I've used. They're like $100 and they're this big and they sound friggin' awesome, and you can put it on a desk and get great sounds. So it sort of comes down to what kind of experience you want when it comes to features and functionality. There's more inherently that can go wrong with a tube amp, but they generally sound better. And the Marshall amps are awesome. I'm a big fan. All right. I'll just grab a quick drink. Vox Guitars Rock. He says, hi Shane, I have no questions. Just wanted to say I love your channel and appreciate your content. Hey, thanks, mate. Thank you. I appreciate it. Trying to get more into doing the live streams again. It's something I let go for far too long, so I appreciate everyone hanging around and, you know, supporting the show. It's been doing this a long time. You know, 10 years full time this year in April. So since I left my day job, and yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you again. Any advantages living in Australia when it comes to guitar gear? Yeah, I think so. I mean, price wouldn't be one of them, but I think we've got a lot of really great independently owned music stores here. Like, we don't really have any chains. They all died a while back. There might be Billy Hyde's is kind of still a chain, but not really. They own a few smaller independent music shops as well, and they're not branded like that, probably because they'd probably die again for the third time. So yeah, we've got a lot of, like, you know, family owned businesses here, so that's pretty cool. And we can also get a lot of the Japanese guitars that some of the other parts of the world can't get. So like the Tokai and the Grecos and all that, they're everywhere. You go to a used guitar shop somewhere that do consignment guitars, and, you know, you can sell on behalf, the shop can sell your guitar on behalf of them. And yeah, they're everywhere. So those opportunities are a little bit easier to find here than, especially in the US. You just can't find a lot of the Tokai and made in Japan stuff. So I would say that's probably about it. We've got some really great pickup manufacturers here and acoustic guitar manufacturers. So I think some of the best acoustic guitars in the world are made here. I don't say that at all about the electric guitars. I don't think there's an electric guitar manufacturer here that holds a candle to anywhere else in the world, but that's from the ones that I've tried. I haven't tried them all, obviously, but when it comes to the acoustic guitars, like Maton, Cole Clark, Fenwick, you know, there's three of the best right there. So yeah, that's probably it. I would say they're the things I would like. Maton make okay electric guitars, but they don't do them often enough, and they're not. Yeah, they're a little too obscure for me. I don't mind some of their old ones; they kind of look beautiful, but I've owned a few of them, and they feel like acoustic guitars with electric pickups. Yeah, but anyway. Since when have Gibsons been affordable? So yeah, some of their entry level, like, tribute ones, I think are pretty well priced, as with their studio series. Like I used to have a P90 Gibson Les Paul Studio, and that was not that expensive when you compare it up against, like, the standard series, which were way more expensive. So they had more options at a more affordable price point. But I know what you're getting at. Everything just creeps up every year. It's crazy. It's just not worth it. I look at the Gibsons and I think, why would I buy one of these now? Unless it's like a less expensive one. I'm not that interested in spending. Well, I've never spent that kind of crazy money on a Gibson guitar. I just don't understand it anymore. They're just not good enough to warrant the price they're asking for, especially the custom shop ones. No offense, Dr. Rick, but they've gone up again now, and it's like, you're going to pay 10 grand or 12 grand for a Gibson Les Paul custom shop? No thanks. Yeah, anyway, that's just me. Let us know whether... Actually, you know what? Let's try this. I don't often do this, but let's do a poll. Would you pay... And we'll make it generic, 10K for a Gibson. Let's do a poll here. Where is it? Oh, sorry. All right. Here we go. Let's see how this poll goes. So it's just gone up. I know I'm a bit behind the chat here too, guys. I'm gonna try and catch up right now. So bear with me. All right. Where's the chat gone? And there it is. So I'll check back on this poll in just a second. We should do a wrong answers only poll. They're always fun. I'm in Melbourne. I think everything is more expensive and stock can be limited. Yeah, I think Melbourne as a whole is cheaper than some other cities when it comes to music gear because there's a lot more stores. But, you know, I don't know if you've ever been to Perth, but everything in Perth is more expensive generally. So, yeah, everything from just daily stuff to, you know, niche kind of things as well. Hey, Shane's here. Welcome, mate. He's here for 5 minutes. I gave you a shout out before, mate. I said if you missed the live stream, I'll have it time stamped after the fact. So I'll put all the questions in there. We've got Rusty from Texas. How you doing, mate? Sorry if my audio is a bit hot too. I've just pulled the volume down a little bit. We got Jason from Alabama. Very cool, man. I've been through Alabama once on my way to New Orleans. It was great. All right, Jerry. Hey, Jerry's Lefty Guitars is here. Here we go. He says, welcome, mate. We were talking about you on the live stream the other week. He says, nice to see Shane working 10 to 12 hours, 7 days a week here in Tennessee to build my new house and the guitar shop. I hope to have the shop open sometime after the 1st of 2025. Oh, that's fantastic. Thanks for the update, mate. Nearly every live stream, someone asks me, oh, have you heard from Jerry? How long's he, I think people are looking forward to seeing, when you reopen and all that kind of stuff, mate. So I'll hopefully catch you, hopefully next year if it all goes to plan, whenever you're ready, mate. That'd be cool. We'll do some more stuff and review some more guitars. It's always fun. I've never been to Tennessee either, so that'd be great. Anyway, mate, I hope you're doing well, and yeah, thanks for the update. I keep checking in on the website to see if there's any news on there, but yeah, that's great, man. Awesome stuff. Thanks again. All right, so all the lefties here. We now have some official news. That's great. Thanks, Jerry. Are there any guitars that you have that you don't admit to owning? No, I don't have. Everything that you see is what I've got except for one. So I do have a Harley Benton baritone guitar in the cupboard in a box because I was unable to move it on. I might just have to give that one away at some point. We'll do a giveaway or something. But yeah, that's it. Everything I use on the channel is all I've got in there now. I moved on a few guitars not too long ago, and again, I don't like stuff just accumulating in cupboard space here. It's sort of, yeah, I don't know what it is. I've gone off the whole crazy big, not that I've ever really been like that, but I don't believe in like having too many guitars in a cupboard that you don't use or hanging on a wall that you never use. Like, what's the point of that? But no, definitely nothing too, if I had anything crazy and weird, I would absolutely let you know. All right, let me, hey, we've got Dwight here. Welcome, mate. Hope you're doing well. I like your little picture here. The avatar's awesome. All right, let's check out this poll here. Here we go. So we have 93% of people that would not pay $10,000 for a Gibson. Kind of makes sense. It's probably out of most people's reach, and including mine. I wouldn't want to spend 10 grand on a guitar. It's way too much. But most I'd probably spend for a Gibson if I was buying one would be 3 grand, and I'd probably try to get it used. That's in Australian dollars, so what's that, like $22.50? I just don't find them. I don't know what it is anymore. I've just gone off the whole Gibson thing. They're nice, and if I could, I like their entry level ones, and I love that 335 I played a while ago, but they're so expensive now. It's not for me. And I've always been a fan of early on especially, I always liked the Fender guitars, I always liked the Gibson guitars. Now I kind of like lots of different stuff, and I find a lot of other guitars a lot better to play. So yeah. All right, we'll end this poll. We'll try another one down the track here. All right, let me just move this. All right, looks like a good upgrade. I have the Spark. I was thinking more traditional amp rather than upgrading to a new Spark. Well, there you go. Yeah, I mean, if you want a more traditional kind of amplifier vibe, then the Marshall would definitely be the way to go. Even check out the 5. The 5 you can switch down as well to a lower power setting. What's my number one guitar? So the one I've been playing more than anything else is the Kiesel with the humbuckers, but mostly because it's been where I play on the weekends. Usually there's a lot of buzz, but I tell you what, I've been playing this a lot. This is awesome. And I know people will say, you're a Kiesel shill or whatever. If it was no good, you'd know me well enough after 15 years that I would sell it. And I love that guitar. That outperforms all of my Fender guitars, and it's not even close. The pickups sound better, it feels better, stainless steel frets, it's lighter, it's better, just overall tone. So yeah, that the Kiesel stuff for me is kind of like the top of my pile in terms of just playability, tone, and you know, the humbucker one I've got, it's everything that like a PRS Custom 24 is, but with a fat neck, just beautiful pickups, no better or worse, just their own sort of pickup thing, and it plays so easily. Like, it's the easiest guitar I've got to play. You know, I got onto my PRS Custom 24 the other day, and I struggled for a bit. I was like, oh, this neck's really thin. I got used to it, and it was great. But the Kiesel stuff it's shockingly good. And I had no expectations of it when they reached out to me, because I always thought that they were like a metal brand, you know. But now they got Johnny Highland, they're doing some other stuff. They got Teles and Strats and style guitars. Yeah, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan. And again, if it was no good, I would have not used them anywhere near as much. It's that simple. Why would I play guitar I don't enjoy? All right. Hey, Jamal's here. Welcome, mate. How you doing? Everyone's saying hi to Jamal here. I must have missed the... Oh, here he is. Just popping in to say hello, everyone. And, of course, our host. Thanks, mate. Thanks for all the support on the channel. I appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a good day. All right, we've got a super chat here. I'll take this, and then we'll go back to the rest of the chat here. Thank you, Matty K, again, for all of your support. I think I need a drink. Shane stopped the guitars, but... Shane stopped the guitars, but have a look at all those posters. Yeah, the posters are kind of crazy here now. They're not crazy. I got a good mix of like music on that side and weird stuff on this side. 80s movies, crazy movie here, and you know, it's actually a video game. But I love the 80s Miami color scheme for some reason. That color palette's awesome. I'm a big fan of that arty sort of 80s Miami color thing. So that's what that's all about. But hey, thank you for the support, mate. That's awfully generous, so I appreciate it. If you have an actual question here, mate, let us know. Yeah, so starting on this side over here, we've got Eric Clapton, Jimi Hendrix, we've got Buddy Guy, Muddy Waters, Papa Chubby, T-Bone Walker, video game from the 80s, that's the Japan poster, Creature from the Black Lagoon, the movie. And above me over here, I've actually got the pinball machine back glass from this, because I like old horror movies. Lucio Fulci's Zombie, which is right there, which is that weird mask you see in the background. Bela Lugosi's, is that White Zombie? It is White Zombie, right there. And Cobra, Stallone. I'm not sure what the other poster is down there. It might be a Knopfler poster or something behind the chair. But yeah, the backdrop had to come back. I missed it. It feels colorful and fun, and yeah, I don't know. I always look at them and kind of smile. It's like, got to put it's like part of my brain on the wall here. Anyway, mate, Maddie, thank you for the support, mate. I appreciate it. That's awesome. All right. If you have a question, I'll keep an eye out on the chat here. All right. D-Max says he's a fan of the Gibson tributes, both the LPs and SGs. Too bad they discontinued it. Well, there you go. Yeah, someone else feels a bit the same. I think those tribute guitars were great. They've got a few at Sky Music still. I was like, whoa. And those are like way less expensive than the, you know, obviously the more like the standard line. So I was like, oof. You got to get in while you can sometimes, but I don't need one. This is the thing. I've got my Tokai Les Paul, basically, I've had for years, and it's outlived all of my other Gibson guitars. So I was like, why do I need to? I got to keep justifying that. Any strong thoughts on the poly finishes on guitar, Shane? My only issue is when they get a knock, they tend not to dent as attractively as the Nitro finish. Hey, thank you, Jerry. I appreciate that, mate. Yeah, so you're right. I put a hole in my Telecaster not long after I bought it. Not my 52, but the American original one. And it just took a cavity out of it, basically, and it looked awful. Like, it was not what I expected to see compared to like a Nitro finish. So yeah, if you need to get that repaired, it's a bit of a job. So Yeah, the only good thing about it is they're a little, they're actually quite a lot more durable. So unless you really damage it with dropping a power supply on it like I did, it came off my desk and the corner of it just went straight into the body. Took a big chunk out of the finish, and it was like, it was a big white hole just sitting in the middle of my Telecaster. I was like, I don't have to get that fixed. That looks awful. If that had happened on another type of finish, it would have looked completely different, and I probably could have lived with it. But yeah, I totally agree. I think they're okay as long as you don't severely damage them, and they are a little bit more robust. So yeah, I don't really have a hate towards them at all. I think, you know, they do look pretty good, but yeah, especially on some of the less expensive guitars. You know, I did a relic job on one years ago. I was shocked just how thick that finish is. It's near impossible to remove. So you've really got to damage it in a way that forces you into having it fixed properly. But yeah. Are you a fan of Chris Lilly? I know the name, don't know can't really think of who that is off the top of my head, so I'm going to have a look into that. We've got Dwight's from Mississippi. Awesome stuff. All right, GRB Aquatics. Sorry, I missed a whole lot of people entering the chat here. So welcome everybody. Thanks again. If you just joined in, leave a thumbs up if you can. It really does help. So thank you. I'll try my best to answer all the questions here. We're probably going to go for another 10 minutes or so. We usually keep these to an hour so I can timestamp them and people can watch them back without going, where is all the questions? What do I think of the Line 6 Spider V amps? I just got a 60 watt version and I love it. You know, I don't think I've played the Spider V. The 5. Let me have a look. Yeah, I remember playing like the old original Line 6 amps many years ago, but let's have a look. See if I can do this. Where is this? All right, here we go. Yeah, if these are relatively new, I haven't tried them. I think I can get access to these through the shop. So if you want to see some Line 6 stuff, let us know. I know they got a bit of a bad rap online from, you know, loudmouth dickheads who just didn't take into account who these were for, you know. So yeah, it might be sort of good seeing if they're like tone wise, because I've never reviewed one. I might see if I can get my hands on them at some point. Hope Positive Grid sends you a Spark 2 to check out. Looks like a nice affordable practice amp. Yeah, they've never really, I don't think they've ever really contacted. Oh, actually, I think they did contact me once for an amp review, but they wanted me to sign all this stuff, and I just told them to shove it. So I think that was them. I could be wrong about that. But usually if they say, oh, we want commercial rights to your video and you're going to produce it for free and we want to use it for advertising, I tell them to shove it. Because I'm like, I'm making you a video that you can use for a commercial. I can't really remember if it was them or not. It's been so long, but there was something there that I was like, you know what? No thanks. So, look, I'll double check because I might be bashing them for no good reason. It might be another brand I'm thinking of, but yeah, I like their amps. I think their amps are great. Those little Spark amps are pretty cool. Yeah, yep, Matty K, we mentioned that before. Yeah, I'll timestamp that whole conversation earlier. Yeah, definitely a huge loss. We were talking about Eric Clapton's posted a thing on his YouTube and Instagram. Oh, yeah, here we go. Do you comment about Australian electric guitars? Ormsby guitars are awesome. Yeah, I totally agree. I totally forgot about Ormsby. I think because they make a lot of them in Korea, which even though they're an Australian brand, they're not made here. I do know they've got their like custom or higher end models that are made in Australia. But I agree that those are great. I showcased them on the Mega Music Guitar Shop walkthrough video on my Guitar Search Saturday series. And yeah, totally agree. They're great. There's probably a few others that I'm not thinking, or that I can't think of right now that are made here that I liked as well. But I can't, that tells me that they're not, like Ormsby, they're not something that I play, so I don't really, yeah. you're right. If anyone has any others, let us know. Doesn't mean their products are bad. Yeah, totally. That's the thing too. I get, especially on my other channel, I get a lot of people asking me to review stuff, and then they want commercial rights to the video, and I'm like, dude, it's not how this works. I'm brutal like that. It's like, you want me to make you a video? I'm charging you my, a fee for my production time for you to use this commercially. This is a completely different scenario other than just making a YouTube video for my YouTube channel, right? It's like two separate projects. It's like, no thanks. Yeah. If you're looking for an amp like that, check out the Yamaha stuff. Like that THR series of 2 amplifiers that came out, those little sort of like retro looking things. Those are so good. I think they sound like a produced guitar track. Like, for their size, they're like unbelievable. Like, they're really good. That'd be another one I highly recommend. I put that in my best practice amps list. It was just one I borrowed from the shop, and I was like, this thing sounds really good. So yeah. All right, let me just go up the chat here. So we're coming into the last 5 minutes. If anyone has any questions, let us know. Rummy says, plenty of used Gibson guitars on sale on Reverb and in second-hand shops. Well, that's the thing, right? Like, everyone bought them up over 2020, 2021 time. Everyone was buying guitars like crazy, and now there's probably a lot of people trying to flip stuff, and this should drive the prices down on guitars now, in theory, because if there's too many guitars and not enough demand, the price comes down. So it'd be great to see if that actually happens or not, and let us know what you think of the prices on the used market right now as well. That might be an interesting discussion, as for a different live stream, or maybe part of the podcast. The only reason I didn't spend 10K on a Gibson is because I needed money for the purchase of a house. Well, there you go. Yeah, I totally understand that. Yeah, I mean, it's, yeah. Nothing needs to be said about that. It totally makes sense, mate. All right, let me just... do I know which direction drop capacitors goes? Guide says to see which is louder when you touch it, but I can't tell the difference. If that's the case, mate, you know what? I'm not going to really give technical advice on stuff that I don't know about, so I'm not too sure. If anyone else has any info on that, let us know from Brad's comment here with his what's that guy's name? The Sacha Baron Cohen's character. He's got his mankini on. Then let us know. I'll put it up on screen. Jerry White is saying, good luck with the new house and shop. Look forward to the future videos from Shane. Oh, that's cool. Thanks, man. Yeah, I want to get back there at some point. I think it'll be super cool. It's always fun. It's funny walking into a guitar shop where you can play everything, as opposed to not being able to play anything, or maybe a handful of guitars at some shops. It always does my head in. I walk in and I assume everything, or the majority of what I'm looking at, I can't play, and then I realize I can play all of these. This is weird. This is what it's like to be a right-handed player. Hey Terry, welcome, man. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining in. No lefties. It's always the way. You can get a Fender Mustang 100-watt new or 350 in some places right now. Nice amp. Very cool. Yeah, I've been looking on the used market for a Mustang 3 version 2 again. So if anyone wants to offload one of those and you live in Australia, let us know. Hey, we've got Wayne from Memphis. Welcome, mate. Awesome stuff. Thanks for joining in. We're just about to wrap this up, so I appreciate everybody dropping in. I'll timestamp this after the fact so you can watch it back with all the sections, in some sort of order. Borat, that's the one. I used to get on these weird sort of like binges with YouTube where I'd get stuck into watching like little clips of Sacha Baron Cohen, like from Ali G, and then the Borat, and then his other like crazy character. What was the other guy's name? I can't remember. Anyway, there's eclectic sort of... Anyway, yeah, you just go down that rabbit hole and you can spend 3 hours doing that. It's insane. Macon. Macon, Georgia. Is it? Is that... I remember hearing about that. Oh, here we go. Allman Brothers. Cool. I can never justify buying a guitar or anything that's worth more than my car. Yeah. Yeah, I did that a while back with something. And I was like, what have I done? So, yeah, I had a really... My car's still not expensive now. I got a Jeep Patriot. But before that... And it's an old car, right? They don't make those anymore. They haven't made them for like 10 years. But my car before that was a Kia. And I ended up buying a camera that cost me way more than my car. But it was a work expense, so it was all good. I'm actually using it right now. So hopefully it looks all right. It's turned into my webcam. Yeah, I won't be doing that again for quite a while. All right, nice to be hanging in Shane's stream for a change. Hey, thanks, Matty K. I plan on doing this every 7 or 8 days, depending on what's going on, or there might be a few improv ones here and there, but yeah, I'm going to try and schedule them up ahead of time like I did with this one. So check your notifications, folks. Click all notifications if you want to be notified of the live streams. Otherwise, you will be basically you'll have to look in your subscription feed and stuff gets buried. It's getting harder to reach people. You know, even if you leave a thumbs up on stuff, you'll be more inclined to be notified of things that come up even if you don't have notifications on. All that kind of stuff really helps. Yeah, Ali G was a character, man. Jerry says prices for used guitars and amps is fantastic here in the UK at the moment on eBay Refurb. Oh, that's great. That's great to hear, because I know the new guitar prices in the UK are pretty expensive, right? All right, guys, we might wrap this up. It's been right on an hour. I appreciate everybody hanging out. Thanks again, as I drool on myself after drinking some water. But yeah, if anyone, if I missed your question, I don't do it intentionally. I just get a list here and I go down it, and sometimes the chat moves and I'm unaware of it, and other times I try my best to go back up. So yeah, leave just a standard comment on the the section under the video, the normal one, not the live chat, if you have any questions, and I'll answer that as soon as I can. And I'll be putting the timestamps together in the next hour at double speed. That's how we do it. We watch it at 2 times speed. Anyway, guys, thanks again. I appreciate it, and we'll catch you on the next video. I've got another live reaction, not a live reaction video, but a reaction video coming up soon. It's in the next 2 videos. So if you enjoyed my Steven Seagal one, this one should hopefully be fun. And again, we're looking at the positives. We're going to try and steal some licks, and that's what that series is all about. It's not about belittling anybody, because I think that's a good move. All right, guys, take care. Thanks again, and I will catch you on the next one.